As hikers, we ask a lot of our shoes, and maybe sometimes we don't put as much thought into what we're wearing on our feet as we should. After all, we ask our shoes to do a lot for us. I mean, it's the only piece of our gear that gets pounded on relentlessly over the entire distance of our hike. They get to come off at night and maybe for a short break during the day, but the rest of the time, they're literally with us every single step. That's a lot for one piece of gear to do. After 3 pair and about 1,000 miles on the last of those 3 pair, this is why I have made thus far the Xero Mesa Trail 2 the shoes that I use for my thru hikes. Now, I realize shoes not as sexy as, say, a backpack or a tent or possibly even a sleeping bag. But we should put some thought into what we're wearing and why. Now, I'm no expert on shoes, but I have tried a lot of different brands and a lot of different styles. Obviously, they've all let me down in some major way. Now, that's not to say the Xero shoes are perfect. I don't think there is such a thing as a perfect piece of gear or a perfect shoe. There's going to be trade-offs. You're going to be having to make compromises on everything. But you can find something that hits just about everything in the sweet spot, right? And that's what I think these shoes have done. Now, there are a couple of marks that get missed, so let's go over those real quick. Number one, if you're not used to wearing a zero drop, minimalist, barefoot style shoe, they're going to take some getting used to. I think it took me a full year of wearing these, or something like them. I had the Prios as well. But wearing those shoes relentlessly for a full year to get my feet built up, the strength of the muscles, get everything stretched out again, all the ligaments and the tendons, so that when I would step on a rock, that sharp pain, like, that hurts really bad. So you've got to get over that hump. But once you do, I think you'll find that your feet, ironically, are going to be less sore, less tired, and they're definitely going to be stronger. I've also found that you've got 2 layers in this. There's like the inner layer, which is supposed to be kind of like a sock. So you can wear these without socks. I choose to wear socks just to get a little extra protection from all the dirt and everything, the dust that inevitably winds up in your shoe. But you've got those 2 layers there. So when these things get really soaked, and I don't mean damp from like a light rain, but I mean like when you've done like a creek or river crossing, or it's just been a gully washer for several hours, literally the shoes are soaked. It takes a little longer for these things to dry out than, say, a pair of Ultra Lone Peaks or one of the other shoes from, say, Topo Athletic, where you just have the one layer, the outer. It's just one piece. These take a little longer to dry out. So when you wake up in the morning, they're not going to be quite as dry as those other ones. Now, apart from them taking a little bit of getting used to and not drying out quite as well as I would like for them to overnight when they've gotten soaking wet, the other thing is the price point. I think the last few years, it's been pretty nice. They've been constantly steady at about $120. You can find those on sale or where they're going to have clearances, and you can get them substantially less than that. But $120, they come out, they're approaching that price where you're going to be paying for a pair of Ultras or a pair of Topos. But the advantage is that I can get close to 1,000 miles out of a pair of these shoes reliably. Whereas the Ultras, the Lone Peaks, I was really pushing it to get 300 miles out of those. The Topo Athletics, I have tried the Ultra Venture and the Run Venture. Both of those, I could get about 500 miles out of a pair of those before they just went south. So dollar per mile, these definitely come out way ahead in my opinion, at least for me anyway. And I've worn these Mesa Trails, this particular pair that I've got on right now. Those are kind of my daily wear shoes. They get worn on concrete, asphalt, all of my training hikes, rain, snow, mud. So this pair went on the Tahoe Rim Trail, and I'm kicking snow steps in this pair of shoes, walking through frigid water. So this pair has been through a lot, and that tells you anything at all. And they've held up really, really, really well. So one of the benefits of having the inner layer is when the outer layer does kind of rip apart on you, which they're going to do that, right? Any shoe's going to do that. You've still got that inner layer that's still kind of keeping stuff out of your shoe for you. And it also kind of holds everything in. So that is one of the benefits of having that two-part inner right there, or two-part outer, if you will, where you've got an inner sock type and then you've got the outer protective layer. It is nice to have that. The grip on these things is actually pretty decent. It's not quite as, in the wet, it's not quite as nice as, say, a pair of Astrals, which are a wet shoe. I've tried those as well. I would say they're on the lines of what my Ultra Lone Peak 3.5s and 4s were. They're pretty good. And I think over the years, although they still call them the Mesa Trail 2s, I think they've tweaked the compound to be a little grippier, because the last few pairs that I've got, the grip definitely feels a little better in the wet than the very first pairs that I had. The other reason I really like these is I like a lot of ground feel. I had a pair of, I think they were the Norda 002. I thought, well, heck, Dyneema cover. They had a Vibram outsole. Like, well, that shoe's like ticking all the boxes, right? I got those horribly stiff, really, really stiff, and those shoes were extravagantly expensive. So I like for my shoe to flex, give me a lot of ground feel. These are very close to what I would say my Ultras were, like my very first of Ultra Lone Peaks, and I think they were the 3.5s and maybe the 4s. I don't remember exactly. But these, I like that, right? I want to know what's going on underneath my feet. Also, it allows me to really grip things with my foot because it's contorting around everything. Whereas you get a stiffer, thicker shoe with a lot larger stack height, you just don't get the same response. You don't really know what's going on. So I like that. Now, for some people, that's going to be a negative, right? A lot of people are going to want protection from sharp rocks and things like that. But again, if you've trained with them and you've walked on it on that type of terrain, you're going to find that you don't even notice it anymore. It's literally like walking in a pair of cushy shoes, and when you put the cushy shoes on, you're gonna feel like you're handicapped. So that's another thing I like about these. Another thing that I would say I really like about the Xero shoes, the company, is they actually sell insoles for all of their shoes. Whatever style shoe you got from them, whether it's we'll call it a casual shoe, one of their running shoes, hiking shoes, they sell the insoles for those, and they're relatively inexpensive. I think for these, the Mesa Trail, the athletic insole, I think a pair of those insoles is like $6 plus shipping and tax and everything. But that's a pretty good price, and the insoles last a pretty good while. Also, I found that if you've got an old pair of Topos or some Ultras, those insoles will slide right in there. As a matter of fact, what I'm wearing in my shoes right now is the pair of insoles that I had out of my Run Victors from Topo. So you can slide those in there if you want. But I do like the fact that they do sell insoles, And that's something that I just found out about a few months ago, funnily enough. So that's something I think I'll probably be taking advantage of in the near future, because you can see that the pair of insoles that I had in there, I really wore those things out. Now they do say they have a 5,000 mile warranty on their outsole. I've never even gotten close to 5,000 miles on a pair of their shoes, so I have no idea how well they would honor that warranty. If I get 1,000 miles out of a pair of shoes, I'm pretty happy, especially after paying 150 bucks for a pair of Ultras or Topo or Nike or whatever else, Brooks, Adidas, whatever you're going to be wearing, that are all going to be running that, and you're only going to get a few hundred miles. So 1,000 for $120, I'm pretty satisfied with that. Maybe one of these days I'll completely wear them out and contact them and see what happens, and then I'll put a little short up here or something, let you know what happens with that. As far as the sizing goes, I want to say the very first pair I got, they recommended sizing up half a size. They've since fixed that, so their shoes now are order your normal size, and that's correct. I have purchased, I've got now 5 pairs of the Xero Mesas trails. So this is my 3rd pair that I'm wearing. Then I've got 2 pairs that I've got brand spanking new that I bought when they were on sale that I'll be wearing. And every single pair, for me, a size 12 is my normal size, and a size 12 gives me, that much room in my big toe. So there's plenty of space for my toe to my foot to kind of swell and everything, and I don't ever feel cramped in these. So order your normal size, unless there's something particular. If you've got special insoles that are a little thicker that you want to try out, you may think about ordering up half a size if you're going to need that extra volume. But that's just something to think about. They do have a very, very generous exchange policy, and we've taken advantage of that with my wife, and it's seamless. I have no problems there. I think we've had to send back 2 pairs of shoes for her to get different sizes. It works great, so I can highly recommend that. So if you're looking for a pair of shoes to thru hike in, give them a try. You're going to be out $100 if you get a pair and you try them, and it's just not what you were looking for. On the flip side there, if you're not an REI member, buy a pair from REI. They have the 1-year thing where, literally, you can wear them for a full year, and if you decide they're not for you, REI will give you your money back. So that's an option there. Okay, I'm not suggesting to go out to REI and buy a bunch of stuff and try it and keep sending it back. Be smart about it. But let's face it, 120 bucks is a lot of money. Another thing that I love about these shoes is they're fairly light. If you're going to go ultralight, you got to go ultralight all the way from head to toe. But no, seriously, if you think about it, if every single ounce you can shave, fraction of an ounce you can shave off of your foot, that's extra weight that you're not having to carry. Okay, maybe not be your base weight, but it's on your body, and all your muscles are having to sling that every single step of the day. So every fraction of an ounce you can get off of your feet, that's going to translate in less work that your legs are having to do. So anyway, if you're looking for a well-wearing, inexpensive shoe that is going to perform well through the entire range of conditions that you're probably going to experience on a thru hike, take a look at these. I'm not sponsored by them at all. It's just something that if you've been frustrated with shoes like I was, give these a look. Like I said, it's going to take a little bit of getting used to. Once your foot does get used to them, you're probably going to like these a little better than the real cushy shoes. I find that my feet literally just don't get tired wearing these. Whereas if I put on my run ventures, which I still have, if I wear those for any length of time, my feet start really getting tired of those things. And it has to do with the fact that the midsole in there, all the actual cushioning, it gets compressed where all the pressure points are, the ball of your foot and your heel, and then you've got this big hump right there where your midfoot is, and your foot, instead of being able to be like this with its natural arch and acting like a spring, all of a sudden your foot is contorted into this shape, and I find it just to be not comfortable. Because these don't really have any thick midsole to speak of, I just don't have that problem. Sure, they have what they call the trail foam in there, which I think is like a 2 or 3 millimeter thing of foam, and it gets compressed, but it's not quite to the amount that the really thick foams do. And also, you can always get new insoles, as I said, to put in there to kind of even everything out. And I found that when I do that, I can wear these for a really, really long time and not have any problems. So we ask a lot of our shoes, right? We ask it to protect us from rocks on the trail. We ask our shoes to protect us from pretty, although spiky things on the trail. We ask our shoes to take a pounding, literally, with every single step. We ask our shoes to maybe protect us from the cold a little bit. We ask our shoes to possibly keep our feet dry. We ask our shoes to keep the sun off of them, to keep them cool during the heat of the day. There's a lot of things that we're asking our shoes to do for us. And although you're not going to find one pair of shoes to do all of those things at the same time, you can find a pair that will do enough of those things that they're going to be okay for you through the hundreds, if not thousands, of miles that you're going to be hiking in them. All right, so the Xero Mesa Trail 2. That's a shoe for me. If you like this, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, if you like what I'm putting out here. And as always, we'll see you next time.